Hey, Michelle Cederberg here. Super excited to be your opening keynote for AWCA 2020. Wishing very much that we could be in person, but also super happy to be coming to you almost live from my studio in my home in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is to say a repurposed bedroom. But this is our lives right now. We are pivoting. It's the only time I'm going to use that word to make sure that we can keep having experiences to connect and learn and do better for ourselves personally and professionally. We've got over 500 women and some men for certain registered for this event. Some of you are probably running your own operations. Some of you might be helping on the family farm. Others of you might be students who are exploring a career in agriculture. And others of you might be service providers for people in ag. And every single one of you has been kicking butt and taking numbers over the last several months. Can I get a heck yeah? Now, we're using an interesting platform, and like I said, I'm coming to you almost live. I'm here right now, and I'm going to be in the chat throughout this session, and I'm going to be asking you questions throughout this presentation that I want you to answer live and talk to me and ask me questions as we go along for the next 40 minutes or so. I'm going to be talking about the success energy equation, how to regain focus, recharge your life, and really get shit done. It's the title of my new book, which I'm going to be talking about in a minute. And if there's anybody on the planet who knows how to get shit done, it is farm women. You have been kicking butt and taking numbers since the beginning of pandemic living, if you will, providing what I believe are essential services to keep our food supply chain going in whatever way that you do. And every single day you're getting up and you're living your lives and you're raising your families and you're running your businesses. Some of you are working outside of the home, creating success with your things that are important to you, taking care of your health, I hope. And all the while, all we're doing is trying to seize the freaking day, carpe freaking diem, every single day. Getting up to make a difference for ourselves, for our families, and for everybody that we serve. It's freaking exhausting some days. When we talk about people who need energy, it is you, dear agriculture women. And that's what we're hopefully going to get into a little bit about the ways for you to drive your success to higher levels. Because here's what I believe. Every single one of us has the drive within us to be better, to do better, to have more. And it may feel like life was on hold or has been on hold or is on hold because of the pandemic. But guess what? It ain't on hold. What we're living right now is our lives. And so if you've kind of been waiting for things to get back to pseudo-normal or wondering if it will, I'm going to suggest that right now, let's do a little bit of a reset to put our minds back onto, if you haven't already done so, thinking about what you want for yourself in your work, in your life, in your health, in your relationships, with everything you do that is important to you. This question is a powerful one. What one great dream would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? It's a big question. If you knew you could not fail is the key, because we want to turn off our censorship buttons, the ones that say, oh, I can't do this or it's too hard. I'm going to be talking about that. But I do want you to think about this. It's the first step to setting good goals, to really having time to think about what you want for yourself. And this is what we're going to talk about. The things that we want for ourselves, there's no shortage of that. But when life gets busy, we don't always think about it in the way that we really should to get meaningful results for the work that we do. So the question that I then have when it comes to driving success to higher levels, what in heck gets in the way? Think about it. Wherever you are right now, and I want you to type it in the chat right now. When you think about the things that you want for yourself, what are some of the things that get in the way? And as the answers are coming up, just ponder them for yourself, and you'll likely see that you're probably not the only one that is struggling with some of the barriers that get in the way. Well, when I wrote the success energy equation, it was all about creating an equation for success that would help us overcome some of those barriers. And I think I've cracked the code. So grab a pen because you're going to want to write this down. All right. This is mind-blowing stuff. The dream times hard work equals success. Ah, I know it's somewhat cliche, but it's also somewhat true. Do the freaking work, get the freaking results. The dream is your version of success, whatever that looks like for you. And all you need to do is supply the effort. But As thinking, feeling, overanalyzing human beings, we will tend to complicate the situation until the equation morphs into the dream times gaining skill plus knowledge times hard work. That equals success, huh? Well, actually, we're going to divide that by daily effort minus distractions plus persistence times passion, multiply that by focus minus sleep, and that equals no energy to the power of fast food and not exercising, plus patience to the power of caffeine and anxiety meds. We're going to multiply that by a few days spent in self-doubt, and that equals stalling. We're going to add in an injection of confidence from watching someone else fall on their face. We're going to add in a little bit of guilt for feeling that way. And that equals a reminder to quit comparing your journey to everyone else's. Can I get a heck yeah? Which equals a renewed belief that you can. Multiply that by a few days of progress. We're going to add in fatigue and divide it by distractions to the power of whining, complaining, and overthinking. And we're going to add in roadblocks from your boss, your business partner, your client, yourself. We're going to add in a drop in motivation, and that equals binge watching Netflix and wine straight from the bottle. A little bit too much of COVID wine in the last 9 months, I'm not going to lie. That equals sleeping it off plus an opportunity to rethink your goals, which equals a recommitment to the dream. I know you're with me. We're going to divide that by fear about the current economy, weather, government, COVID, plus optimism, plus vision, plus long hours, plus setbacks, always setbacks, plus resilience, plus fear. We're going to divide that by all the other stuff that you need to do. We're going to add in support from loved ones. We're going to add in nagging from the same loved ones, which is actually a negative. We're going to minus that frivolity, plus self-doubt, minus holidays, minus time or money, minus sleeping in, minus leaving work at work, minus health. We're going to add in a bit more self-doubt, minus energy, and all the while we're multiplying it by a deep down hope that it's possible and a deep down belief that we can. And that, my friends, is the formula for success to the power of what the front door. I don't swear. Do you feel it? I know you feel it. And if you're chuckling, that's okay, because it's meant to be a little bit of a bad math version of the success energy equation. But this, my friends, is reality. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not meant to be a straight line. There are barriers that are going to come into our lives that we have no control over. The weather, the economy, other people's agendas. There are barriers that we're going to create for ourselves, our own self-doubt, our lack of time, our lack of self-care. There's all sorts of things that we can control and can't control, and we have to navigate them all day long. The sooner we can realize that success is not meant to be a straight path, the quicker we can square our shoulders and get on with it. So what now? Because the success energy equation, life is complicated. Now we've added in this pandemic survival to get us through the winter. And for the sake of optimism, I want to suggest that yes, the pandemic is here to stay for a while. But if there's any group of individuals that is resilient, it is you, dear our ag women. And so I'm going to try not to mention too much more of the C word. So here's the deal. Once we determine what we want for ourselves and recognize that there are barriers, it doesn't necessarily mean that success is all of a sudden going to be easier. Because right now the world is demanding more from us than it ever has. And I know you feel that. And it's not just the C word. And it's not just all of the life on the farm and all of the things that you're dealing with there. It's the technology that is so close to us right now. And it is impacting our bandwidth, the 24-hour news cycle with a lot of the news not being great news, the economy, politics, health crises, you name it. And then the way that we are recovering these days is with these things. So we've got push notifications from our social media, and we've got text messages that we need to respond to, and emails that we need to respond to, and games that we want to play, and Pinterest that we want to populate. And all of these things has made it such that we are busier than ever, physically, mentally, emotionally, cognitively, and it's impacting how we drive our own success. What ends up happening is that we have within us the best intentions to be better, do better, have more, but there's so much going on that we shift into autopilot. And autopilot is making unconscious automatic decisions that don't necessarily align with how you want to work and live. It's a defense mechanism that our body, our brain creates to help us process all the information that's coming at us in a given day. And there's a lot of information. According to some sources on the internet, we make upwards of 35,000 decisions a day. And if that does blow your mind, let me just break that down for you. If we wipe out 7 hours of sleep, hopefully getting at least that much, it's about 2,000 decisions per hour, or about one every 2 seconds. You just had another one. You just had another one. You just had another one. And you're thinking, I'm not making any decisions. But you're sitting there deciding if what I'm saying is true. You're deciding whether or not you like how I'm performing. You might be deciding what you're having for dinner tonight, or deciding whether this chair that you're sitting is comfortable. All day long, those kinds of decisions are coming and going, and they're taking up our bandwidth. So what our wonderful brain does is it pushes a great deal of what we do into our subconscious so that we can operate on some level with clarity in the things that matter. Although, if autopilot becomes your go-to operating system, which means you're running through your whole day not paying attention, then it can be a challenge. Because autopilot is meant to kind of be a little bit of a defense mechanism against information overload. I mean, your ability to think about what isn't happening in any given moment is a cognitive triumph that helps your day run more smoothly until it doesn't. We can't run our whole lives on autopilot, or we're going to end up off course. And if you've ever had a day or a week or a month or the last 9 months where you're feeling a little bit of overload, I feel ya. And so it's very interesting. I do want to talk about, I literally just released my new book on October 27th, and I'm thrilled. I'm going to give you an opportunity to win one of 4 copies at the end of this presentation. But it's important because a lot of the research that I did in that book was around autopilot and getting present to the mess. Because if we want to have success, the first thing we need to do is to shut off autopilot. I'm going to give you some guidelines for that as we progress so that we can get clear about what we want for ourselves. I want you to think about that question again. What one great dream would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? I want you to think about that. Now, here's my definition of success energy, the energy in you that drives your success, what you accomplish, how you feel, and what you believe you are capable of deep down in here. I am a big believer that everybody is capable of amazing things. Our amazing might be different from person to person to person, but all of us have got a whole bunch of good going on that we can unleash. One of the reasons that I became a professional coach is because I kept meeting people who had no idea how incredible they were. We don't often see it for ourselves. I want to help people uncover that. Because when our energy is high, you know that you step out into the world and you say, I got this. You'll set bigger goals for yourself, and you'll have more confidence in your ability to crush them. You'll have more discipline to do the work. But if your energy is low, you're coming into the day going, oh my gosh, it's Monday again, but it's actually Thursday, right? Not excited about the work. The goals get put off to the side. We have low belief in ourselves. And I have to ask you, what's possible from there? Not a whole lot. So let's take a look at my simpler version of the success energy equation. I don't know why I created an equation because I don't love math, but here we go. Here's my right-brained version of the success energy equation. Success equals setting clear, exciting goals, and they are a function of the belief you have in yourself about those goals and the discipline you have to do the freaking work, all raised to the power of awesome by the energy within. Success, belief, discipline, our goals, belief, discipline, and energy. 4 factors to help you find success at a higher level. I'm going to talk about each of these. We're going to start with the goals piece. And I will say I will be touching on each of these just a little bit because I want to really drill down to the energy at the end and make sure I've got enough time for questions. Most of us, well, let's ask it in the chat right now. Do you set goals? Yes or no? And you can be honest. And take a look now and see what's coming in. More often than not, when I ask in-person audiences whether they set goals, I get a good portion of the audience, and I want to say 80% or higher. Do you set goals that are both personal and professional in nature? That's the next question. And you can say personal, professional, or both. And you can put it in the chat if you want to. And then the next question I will ask is, do you write those goals down? And this is usually when I lose the greatest percent of the audience. They say they set goals. They say they set mostly professional goals. And more often than not, I don't write them down. I want to tell you why writing down your goals is so infinitely important. We don't like to do it because then there it is in front of us and I got to do something about it. And God forbid I should leave the paper somewhere and somebody sees it and now I've got somebody nagging me about my goals. I'm just not going to write them down. But there is power to putting pen to paper, because when you do that, your brain lights up to the possibilities. When you take time to think about what's important to you, and when you take time to write it down, it gives your brain enough time to move that idea from short-term memory into long-term memory, where it can taunt you. And I only half joke about that because I know every single one of you is sitting with your butt in your seat wherever you are across Canada, perhaps in the States, perhaps worldwide. I'm going to ask that question next. That have a goal that won't go away. One that just keeps popping up every now and then and you think, gosh, I really would love that. And then it's set and forget. I want you to be able to tap into those goals. When you write them down, and then the final step is put them somewhere where you can see them, your brain has a project to solve. And I'm gonna continue on that in a little bit. As I'm moving on to the next slide, put in the chat where you're from across this lovely planet. If you're in the US, whereabouts in the US. If you're in Canada, whereabouts in Canada. If you're outside of North America, share that information. Take a look at the chat. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, have been here for the last almost 30 years. Put it all in the chat so we can see where we're all coming from, and welcome from all across this wonderful country. All right, once we have set goals, the next step is to believe in our ability, because here's the thing. I think this belief piece is so darn important, because it does not matter the size of your goal if you don't believe in your ability to crush it. Think about that. You can set gigantic goals, but if the next step is, oh, that's scary, I think I'll just put that to the side for a while, then it's not really a goal that's going to get conquered. So when we build belief in ourselves, it's going to help drive our success. And here's the reason why it's so important. We have the capacity to talk ourselves out of things that scare us, and most things around success and getting outside that comfort zone, a little bit scary. What you think affects the actions you will take. We need to train our brain and talk to it in a way that's going to help drive our success. And I'm not talking, woo-woo, the secret, think about it and it'll manifest kind of stuff, because you still have to do the work. That's why I have belief and discipline as function of each other, because you need to believe in yourself and have the discipline to do the work in conjunction. But this belief piece can be trained upwards, because many of us will have that voice when we step outside the comfort zone and says, are you sure about this now? Are you sure? And we need to be able to recognize when that voice is inaccurate. So this is my 4 R's for shifting belief in self. If you have a voice that tells you every now and then, I'm not sure about this, you don't have to listen. And here's what you can do instead. So recognize when your thoughts become unproductive. There are going to be times in our lives where we sell ourselves short for no darn good reason. I said it before, the reason why I became a coach is because I keep meeting people that have no idea how amazing they are. And a lot of that comes down to this, being able to recognize it within ourselves and do something about it. So recognize when your thoughts become unproductive. Just stop and say, oh, there I go again. I shouldn't be talking to myself like that. Number 1, thought stop. And then number 2, remind yourself of your past wins, your current successes, the enduring capacity within you. You, and I don't even know you, well, I probably know some of you, have conquered so many mountains in this lifetime. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about all the things that you got over in the past. Maybe it was creating your own business. Maybe it was moving from another country. Maybe it was leaving an unhappy marriage. Maybe it was getting over a grave illness. Maybe it was finishing your schooling and you got through it even though it was tough. The things that you're getting through now, whatever's happening in your life that you are thinking, God, this sucks and I wish I didn't have to do this. You square your shoulders and you get through it, because that's what farm women do. Dead stop. And then that is a reminder of what you have within you as this enduring capacity to just keep on trucking on. It's not meant to be easy. I wish it was. But if you could look back on that body of all the amazing things you've gotten over in the past, you know for certain you can get over it again. So stop telling yourself otherwise. If you want another little fun thing here, write down your amazing list. 20 things about yourself that you think is amazing. And I know some of you are going, I'm not sure I could come up with 5. And there are some of you who are thinking, only 20? And I'm hoping that that's who you are. It's a fun exercise, and I write about it in the book. Once you've done that exercise, or do it with your family, write down all the things you think are amazing about yourself and all your family members, then share that information. I know at least a couple of you out there have done that exercise with your families with great results. Recognize and then remind and then reframe your negative thinking into what is possible. Here's the power move, because this is where you train your brain with the right kind of information to drive your success. Instead of saying, this is hard, it can't be done. Don't do that. When you do that, your brain says, well, it can't be done. My job here is done. And it stops trying to come up with solutions for whatever it is that you were dreaming of on the flip side of that negative self-talk. Now, instead, it's important to keep our brain open to possibility, a little bit of appreciative inquiry, if you will, by simply saying, I don't know how it can be done, but how might I? How might I achieve that goal? How might I go back to school? How might I get exercise into my schedule? How might I find more happiness in my family unit? How might I get a little bit of extra money? Just by simply asking, how might I, the brain goes, I have a problem to solve. And it goes off trying to answer that question. Now, here's the clincher, my friends. Instant gratification is the reason why most of us give up our goals too soon. We want it too quickly. This is where you need to get patient and then put your eyes up and open and pay attention to what comes at you, because when you get the answers to your questions, then you have to do the work, which I'm going to talk about next. So after you've done recognize, remind, reframe, then it's repeat, because the negative messaging you're telling yourself has been laid down over years and will need a lot of practice to erase the negative and replace it with the more positive, open-minded kind of thinking. It is incredibly powerful, and I challenge you to try it. And if you already have with success, then share your story in the chat. Which leads us to discipline. Now here's the thing. Goals, belief, and discipline. We will have success if we do all three of these. And some of you already have that. This discipline piece is an interesting one for a group of hardworking women in agriculture, because wow. I say it, you do what needs to be done, even if you don't want to do it, because you know the results it will bring. Ag women lack no discipline. They don't lack discipline. How do I say that? The ag women have discipline in heaps. This fall, I follow a number of ag women on Twitter and Instagram, and this fall I was noticing a lot of posts about you all out on the fields and taking in the crops till 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning, because the conditions were so wonderful this fall to leave them out just a little longer. But as soon as the weather changes, we got to get them out now. And even if you don't feel like it, even if you're tired, even if you got other things you'd rather be doing, you are out there getting the work done. That is something that you should be so proud of. And so what I will say is, because you don't lack discipline when it comes to taking care of life on the farm or whatever you're doing in your ag career, more often than not, the discipline that you lack is for the things that you long for when you have more time and energy to get to it. Whether it is your health or your relationship or writing that book or starting that business, the stuff that you'll do on the side once life isn't exploding over here. So how do we get a little bit more discipline for that kind of thing? Because it is important. We want to get things done that are going to guide us towards higher levels of success personally and professionally. The discipline piece is about the habits, skills, focus, and drive that you possess to do the things you want to do. And I will say this, sometimes we just have to do the freaking work. Know that it's not meant to be easy. And this, I will say this about the tweets and Instagram posts that I was seeing about being out until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, taking the crops off. You do it to be done with it. It's not going to be easy, and there's no compromise. We just got to get it done. There's power to that, though. If you've got a task that you don't want to do it so you can get it off that checklist, and create a list so that when you're done, you can check it off and get that endorphin hit. Any list makers out there? You can put yes to lists in the chat if you make them. I love lists because you get a little endorphin hit every time you check something off your list. Make your list. Put the top thing on there as something that you've already done, yeah? And then check it off and then keep on going. A little momentum, a little bit of endorphin hit right out of the gates. All right. Don't give your power hours away to throw away tasks. If you've got time on your hands to get certain things done around your home or office or work, use your best energy for your highest value, highest bandwidth tasks. And that's usually not email. It's not the 30 to 60 second tasks or the minutia that's in front of us. It is the ones that are going to require a little bit of focus and effort and time. Don't give your power hours away when your energy is highest and your time is most abundant to the little stuff. Focus on the bigs. And one of the things that we need to get better at is to delete work that is no longer relevant. So know that we're working on the right things at the right time. Delegate whenever we can. Don't be afraid to give it up to somebody else. Train them. I know we don't want to because we are always the best to do it ourselves, but you're always going to be stuck with it unless you learn to delegate and learn to just grit your teeth as they learn how to do it eventually as good as you. And then in some instances, we just have to DTFW, which in my world means do the freaking work. I know that there's no shortage of it with this group of people on this call, but in those places where it matters, where you're not doing the work on the things that you really want for yourself, maybe some of these tips can help. When you've got a deadline, set a timer. I got a little one that actually makes noise, and I'm not going to turn it, a little tomato timer. I'll set it for 10, 20, 30 minutes, clear my desk of all distractions, and then dig in and really focus to get that deadline-driven task done. And then I'll reward myself with by taking the dog for a walk or making myself a cup of tea or just moving away from the desk for a while, which I will talk about in a moment. So here we go. Set clear, exciting goals. Have belief in yourself regarding those goals. Have the discipline to do the freaking work. If you repeat all three of these over and over and over, you are going to experience high levels of success to a point, which is the reason why I add energy as the fourth factor in my success energy equation, to raise to raise your dreams to the power of awesome by the energy within. When we are better with our energy, it makes a difference in all of these areas. And the way that I'm going to talk about it is a little bit different than you might think. Now, here's the thing. I start to talk, my background is as an exercise physiologist and a kinesiologist and a personal trainer. And I have a high belief in personal or physical health for personal professional growth. But when I talk about energy, some people will get the glassy eyes going, I don't have time. Who you kidding? Fine. That's fine. Here's the truth. If you take away nothing about what I'm about to say, you can experience high levels of success in your work and life if you don't exercise, if you don't eat the right foods, if you drink too much, or if you aren't hydrated, if you smoke, if you don't get enough sleep, if you are high stress or low life balance, you can still experience high levels of success. And some of you are thinking, oh, thank God. Well, it's the truth, because our body is amazingly resilient. I know you lack no amount of physical effort in your lives for many of you, but our bodies will eventually, our bodies can put up with a lot of crap, even if we're, not taking care of it. That's the truth. The reality is you will not be able to operate at your full potential, and it will not come without a cost over time to yourself, to the work that you do, to the people around you. Eventually, the physical machinery and your brilliant mind in it say, are you kidding me with this program? I need a break. I can't keep it up. I know some of you have come against these times where you're thinking, I don't know how I can do it. Well, here's the challenge. You do need to you do need to do it. You do need to find a way, even if you're so busy you can't see straight. And so this is where, hopefully my strategies will come into play. I'm all about small steps, even though I like to think big. When we talk about energy, most people go to physical energy. I need to take care of my physical health. And it's an important thing, because when we do, we've got better energy, we've got better stress management, better weight management, we've got better vitality, we've got disease control, all of these things that happen when we take care of our physical health. But when we do, we also have emotional health. When we take care of certain aspects of physical and we take care of emotional health, we get better self-esteem, better self-confidence, better self-efficacy, which is our belief in our ability to accomplish a task. All of these things are going to help us drive success to a much higher level. And emotional also leads to mental energy, which is going to give you better coping mechanisms and better anxiety control and stress management, all of those things that can be put off if we're not taking care of our body. And the last one is the one that probably gets the least attention, and that's our cognitive energy, and that's our ability to kind of tap into our bandwidth in a more effective way. When we take care of our energy in all its forms, we have better attention span, better critical thinking, better focus, better problem solving, better creativity. And if you think about all the things that you need to crush in any given day, how much is that going to help you do it at a higher level? So how do we then address how do we address our energy? And I'm going to share it very quickly in 3 different areas. The first one is around recovery, and it's about giving us those little moments where we can just pause, if you will. I have a friend in the AWCA community who's probably on this call, Tamara Carter. Hey, Cattle Carter Company. We rubbed elbows and got to be friends at the AWCA event in Niagara. And we were talking, we talk fairly regularly. We were talking, I remember clearly that it was last November when we were having a phone conversation because I was finishing up my book. I was in the last throes of getting the manuscript done. My beloved Lily dog had just passed away. I was dealing with the grief of that and the stress of the book. And Tamara was working on the farm, and she was sitting on a couple of boards and, raising her family and doing all those things. And both of us were just kind of feeling like, phew. And she said to me on that call, I haven't even had time to pee. How many of you on this call, on this video, can now relate that you go so hard all day long that you don't even take the time to pee? You can put a yup in the chat if that's you, because I want to know that Tamara and I are not alone. So we came up with 3 little words on that call as a reminder for ourselves that no matter how busy it gets, we need to at least take the time to tea, pee, and breathe. I want you to think about this. If your day is so busy that you make that cup of tea and then you motor around the kitchen or your office as that tea grows cold, or you're running around and then realize that hours have gone by where you've been holding your bladder, or you have stress so high and you haven't even taken the time to, then something's got to change. Tea, pee, breathe. Make a cup of tea and sit long enough to finish the cup of tea. Listen to your body and stop long enough to go take a pee. When stress is high, stop long enough to just give yourself some oxygen. These are such simple recovery tips that every single one of us can do every single day, at least a few times a day. Well, I hope a few times a day with that middle one. So that's the first one in my plan for recovery. Tamara and I have a chuckle about that quite regularly. Do things that you enjoy. It can't all be work, 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 or we become quite dull girls. And I know that sometimes it is about just digging in and doing the work, but as much as you can, every now and then, you've got to give a little bit back to yourself, whether it is the art that you do, or the music that you love, or the garden that you dig in, or the activities that you do with your family. Give yourself a little bit of time to do things that you love at least once a week, if not more. And the final one on this one is listen to your body. I come back to this one again and again because this piece of machinery is a ridiculously intuitive piece of machinery if we listen. But more often than not, our head is down, we're not paying attention, and we ignore the signs that our body and mind tell us, I need a break, I'm not coping, I need to sleep, I need better food. And when we listen, it tells us what it needs. It really, really does. So recovery is the first of my energizers. The next is to recharge how we fill up our energy. And this one, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on because I'm not going to tell you anything that you haven't heard before. My 4 non-negotiables for physical health: move, eat, sleep, and hydrate for health. And I'm going to share a resource with you. I've already shared it with the AWCA team. It is a PDF version of my Mesh for Health mini book that they are going to make available to you after this session or before the end of the conference, a PDF version so that you will have tips on how to move, eat, sleep, and hydrate for health in small steps. This is not rocket science. It's move a little bit more than you're used to. It's eat a little healthier every single day. It's sleep a little bit better or create a better sleep environment every single day. And it is making sure you're getting enough hydrating fluids all day long. If you do each of those things in small steps every single day, not only will you have more energy, but you will have a psychological boost because you're doing things for yourself that you might have otherwise been putting off, waiting for circumstances to be ideal. Now, I know many of you probably move a lot if you're working on the farm. So what I say about this one is your goal is to consistently do more than what is normal for you. So if you're normally lifting, moving, on the go all day long, that's your normal. So you might need cardio to get that heart rate up. You might need stretching to help offset all of the lifting and moving and hard work that you've been doing. So it's not about getting to the end of the day and saying, I'm tired, I've done enough. You need to listen to the gaps, if you will. So I'm going to be sharing that resource. It doesn't take long to flip through to get some ideas. Think about the ways that you can move, eat, sleep, and hydrate better to boost your physical health. And the last one that I'm going to share is an interesting one that I wouldn't say we take it for granted, but it's changed now because of COVID. And, we're not seeing as many people in our cohorts. Restrictions are tightening again. So the holidays might be very different from what we're used to. We are pack animals by nature, and we are healthiest when we surround ourselves with people that we love, spending time with people that fill us up and make us feel good. I say positive, productive, supportive, responsible people, because if it's on the flip side, it's not as much fun. But when we spend time with people that we enjoy, our body releases oxytocin, which is the hug drug, one of the happy hormones that helps us feel more calm and contented. So it manages our stress and gives us a boost of energy. So when we are thinking about ways to connect nowadays, and of course, this is a very different way of connecting for our usual conference that would be full of hugs and hallway conversations. Well, have those hallway conversations. Enjoy the networking rooms on the Remo platform. I'm going to be around in one of them a little bit later, so keep your eyes open for that. Have conversations in the chat with people that you know. And outside of this event, nurture relationships, get on calls, have conversations, whether it's by Zoom or by phone, and just say, hey, I haven't chatted with you in a while. Some people may need you to reach out. I always say it never hurts to say hi to people who might need a little bit of a boost. As much as we can, let's try and put our phones down and text more and text less and talk more, because the human voice is always going to have a little bit more energy to it than simply sending a message. And when you're out in the world, whether you're masked up or not, head up and eyes open, and spread a little love, because people are a little bit grouchy these days. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that people in Calgary, even behind their masks, are a little bit grouchy. So I'm trying to smile with my eyes. I'm trying to smize behind my mask. Just reach out and be positive in that way. It goes a long way to making you feel better, to make the recipient feel better, because energy that you give in a positive way, energy that you receive in a positive way, makes everybody feel absolutely great. So here we go. Here's my AWCA 20 book bonus. If you buy the new book before the end of the conference, at successenergybook.com, and email me a proof of purchase. It can be the PayPal, proof. You'll get the PDF for sure, but I'm also going to send you a PDF version of the intro on chapter 1 right away so you can start reading, so I have time to get the books in the mail. I'm going to send you an assessing autopilot exercise that you can check off 16 things to figure out, am I on autopilot, and what you need to start to do to get off of it. And you'll be added to my weekly messages if you're not already. So that's at successenergybook.com to buy the book, and then email me at success@michellecederberg.com. And I have put it in the chat as I've been saying this. How's that for multitasking? And if you have any questions at all, I am going to be hanging around. Think about what success means to you. I want to say that our definitions of success need to be very much personalized, where you ask yourself, what does enough look like for me? What are the things that I want for myself, personally, professionally, with my health, with my relationships, with my career? They're important questions to ask. Set the clear and exciting goals around them. Trust that you have within you the capacity to go after every single one of those goals, and the discipline to do the work. You know that you do, Miss Farm Ag Women. And when in doubt, tap into those small steps, energy rechargers, so that you have ways that are going to boost each of these areas. When you take care of energy, you're going to set higher goals. You're going to have a higher belief in yourself. You're going to have higher discipline to do the work. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the room, I want to thank you very much and ask you in the chat right now, what will you do? What will What will you do differently? What's one thing that you'll do differently starting today? Thank you so much for your time and energy. AWCA 2020 hashtag, make sure you're tweeting out the love all day long. Thank you to Iris and your team. Hopefully I'll get an opportunity to chat with some of you in person in the networking rooms. Until then.